In this installment, we're going to be talking about rebuilding after the fire. This video is from a recent event we put on for victims in Malibu and the Pacific Palisades. Specifically, we're going to talk about evaluating rebuilding options. So let's start with understanding rebuilding. The first question is your rights and responsibilities, right? So you're going to have to figure out what can be rebuilt at your property. Because of the fires, a lot of the baseline rules that we would normally have to deal with in Malibu and Palisades have been waived, right? So around here, you're dealing with CEQA, you're dealing with the Coastal Commission, you're dealing with multiple different governmental agencies. A lot of those rules have been relaxed if you build within a certain percentage of what you used to own. So you got to know that, and that means you got to take advantage, for most people, of those opportunities, because the alternative is a significant cost in time and money. And then if you are going to rebuild, you also have to understand what the rebuild costs are going to be. We're hearing numbers of $1,000 a square foot to rebuild. That's a lot of money. Nobody is insured to rebuild at $1,000 a square foot, which means there's not going to be enough insurance to cover rebuild if that's going to be your cost. Doesn't mean that has to be the cost, but with a major disaster like this, we're seeing a lack of trade people. So there's an increase in cost for trade labor and resources, right? We already were dealing with lumber costs and other costs. Then we get new tariffs, adding a whole nother layer of complication and financial issues to the cost to rebuild. So understanding that, getting with a reputable contractor, talking to the city, understanding what those things are going to be is going to be very important in order to consider and put a plan in place to rebuild. You got to make sure that you're personally, emotionally ready for what this is going to take and financially ready, right? In most cases, the insurance is not going to be adequate. And so do you have the staying power? One of the big things we're worrying about is the relocation assistance, right? So your insurance will pay for you to stay somewhere else while your home is not available. But generally 2 years is the best case scenario of what that coverage will last for. Well, if it's going to take 3 or 4 years, you may have two housing costs that you have to cover for a certain amount of time. Are you prepared to do that? Can you manage that? Then again, you have to think about the market, the zoning, and those considerations, especially in a place like Malibu, who has tons and tons of rules and restrictions.